Hey everyone, it's Morgan Yates, and today when you guys are seeing this, it is my 25th birthday, so for the 4th year in a row, I thought I would share 25 things I learned at 25. Also, it is my golden birthday. I know this shirt is a little much, since I'm 25 on the 25th, that's called a golden birthday. If you're unaware, I learned what that was in the past year, so that could have gone on this list. If this is the first video you're seeing of mine, I would love if you would subscribe, and also I would love if everyone would comment below how old you are and one thing that you learned in the past year. Yeah, feel free to follow along over on Instagram if you want to see all of the birthday festivities going on. I'm gonna try to vlog that as well, so that'll be up soon on my vlog channel. But let's go ahead and hop into it. First thing I learned this year is how much I love my own company. I feel like in the past year, I many times, like increasingly, have opted out of social situations that, I don't know, if it just wasn't something I was really feeling, or if I would rather be alone, I prioritize my own company. When everybody's going out, I learned I would rather just be home alone watching Netflix. I enjoy my own company. Number 2, I learned that I love traveling alone this year for the first time. I went on 2 trips, technically by myself, where I didn't know anyone, even though I was meeting up with like a big group situation, but of strangers. So I went on a brand trip to Paris, and then I did a Kentucky trip where I didn't know anyone to Italy and France. And it was a little nerve-wracking. It was definitely outside of my comfort zone, not knowing who I was gonna meet there, not knowing if I would make friends. So those 2 trips definitely stretched me a little bit, but I met really awesome people on both of them and saw a lot of pros to traveling by yourself and not having anyone else to rely on there. So I will probably be doing more of that in the coming year. Number 3, I feel like in the past year, I rediscovered a lot of the fun in my main channel. I touched on this in my last video, which was the same interview 1 year apart. You can check that out if you want to. I know we're kind of having 2 reflective videos in a row, but we'll be back to normal videos soon. But as I mentioned in that video, I feel like I kind of switched up some editing things, kind of tried to get a little more creative with some video topics. Like I really loved that 30 days of boxing video. I had a lot of fun with all of those spending in a week videos, and just, I don't know, even all my cleaning videos have just been really fun to edit, and I've enjoyed kind of spicing up the style on this channel. Number 4, I learned that buying an air fryer, well, pretty much just that, but also discovering the best avocado toast recipe ever. Those 2 things combined would make my Postmates habit completely disappear. Number 5, a lesson learned is that you can say no to being in people's weddings. You should really think about the money commitment, the time commitment, everything that's gonna go into this process. You got a bachelorette weekend, you got a wedding, it's a lot. I'm in a lot of weddings and it's really fun, but I learned you can and should be a little selective. Number 6, I learned that 3.5 weeks is probably too long to be gone for Christmas. Number 7, something I started implementing in the past year has to do with waiting to reward myself with something that I want. Mainly, I guess this comes into play with spending. I feel like in the past, if there was something I want, I would just kind of buy it, not really thinking, not waiting. And it kind of takes the fun out of all of those like purchases or like those things that are exciting to have. So in the past year, I really held off on that. I have like a running list of things I want to buy. Not even like huge things, but just like little things. And I kind of just hold off on that. And it's more fun to look forward to it and anticipate it, and then like, you know, maybe something good happens and I want to reward myself with one of those, or like it's my birthday and I want to give myself a birthday present. And it's a lot more fun and rewarding to kind of have that delayed gratification. Number 8, a little more critical one of myself, I suppose, as I have done some reflecting. I just kind of noticed, mainly in the past couple of months, how much I tend to disregard other people's opinions. It's not a good thing. I'm very stubborn. I see things in a very black and white way, and I'm also the opposite of a people pleaser, so I feel no pressure to agree with anyone. But even in situations about like making plans or things like that, I've noticed that I go into situations trying to get everyone else on my side rather than even listening to anyone else's side or like hearing the pros in that situation. Hello, why is it dark? I don't know, I've just observed myself that I'm not always that good of a listener, and that's something that I need to work on and improve. Number 9, I saw firsthand how I might just love things that I am avoiding because they're outside of my comfort zone. For example, this is a weird one, not very feminist of me. At Rumble, we all have heard me talk about it. I go there to work out. It's a boxing studio in LA. And from when I started going there, I had only gone to like a handful of the male instructors kind of by accident, and that's just kind of who I kept going to. But then there would be times where for my schedule, it would make more sense to go to another class with a different instructor that I haven't had before, and it would be outside of my comfort zone, so I wouldn't want to do it. But I don't know when I developed this thing where I was like afraid to go to the girl instructors classes. I'd never done it, and I don't know why, I just insisted on not. Very weird, until one day they did a little switcheroo and I signed up for a class of an instructor I took all the time. He wasn't there and we had a sub, and guess who it was? It was a girl, and guess what? She's now my favorite instructor. I don't know why I felt that way about, I had it in my head that like, oh, if it's a girl's voice, it won't motivate me as much. A, not even true. B, the girls' workouts are harder. It's an obscure example, but those are now my favorite classes to go to, and I hardly go to the guys' classes. It's amazing what could happen when you stop avoiding things outside of your comfort zone. Another thing, like, I went to a hip hop dance class, with Shelby, and it was super fun. And that's something that was definitely outside of my comfort zone. I would not have normally gone to in the past, but that day I was just like, whatever, I'm not gonna overthink it, I'm just gonna go. In the coming year, I want to continue to do things that challenge me in that way. Number 10, in the past year, I got tired of my own excuses when it comes to a lot of things. I feel like we all have in our heads this idea of this like ideal person that we want to be, and every year like we set these resolutions and whatever, and we like decide we're gonna change all these things. And at some point in the past like 6 months, I was just like, what if I just do the things? Whether it's working out when we don't want to, whether it's doing chores when we don't want to. Literally, like, I can be downstairs, realize that in order to accomplish a task, something I need is up here, and I will sit there and avoid it. Or I don't anymore. But I would literally just like avoid it and procrastinate on it because I was lazy. I would do that with tasks all the time. And this year, I just got tired of that like delayed, lazy mindset, and I just started doing all the things when I recognized that I needed to do them. That comes to chores. I guess working out, I became really disciplined with that as well, even though I enjoy that, so I always want to be going. But I just feel like across the board, I just got tired of my own excuses this year, and instead of like having this idea of like what type of person I wanted to be in the future and like whatever, rather than it being wishful thinking, I just like one day decided to just do it. And it's been good, so I recommend that. Number 11, also pertaining to discipline, this is with finances. I have really seen the power of savings in the past year. In 2019, I implemented a system where on the 1st, 10th, and 20th of every month, I know that's not exactly evened out, but basically about every 10 days, I put a set amount of money into a separate savings account that I ignore, forget exists, never look at it, like never touch it. And it's crazy how much I've saved in the past year, and this year I've even increased. I'm doing every Friday and move that same amount of money into an account. And I just feel like implementing a saving strategy like that has been really cool to see kind of how that compounds over time. Number 12, I guess a takeaway that I have learned or observed this year is that it's never too late to start going after something you want to do, something you want to learn, a skill you haven't even started to develop, like a goal you have but that like seems like you're too late to get into. For me, I would apply this more to like health things, and especially with that and like just goal setting, I've learned that there's no pressure and there's no rush. Give yourself ample time to do whatever it is you want to do. I feel like when you stop placing so much focus on every single tiny decision and you see things more big picture, just in terms of like patterns and like, okay, if I'm doing this one thing like most of the time, then I'm gonna be on track to this goal, versus zeroing in on like every single tiny action. You can just chill out and just look at the big picture. What you're doing most of the time and like the patterns in your life, they will tell you if you are on your way to reaching your goals or not. And that's all you need to worry about. You don't gotta focus on every single move. 13, also having to do with goals, is that you can't be so finish line driven for this like one goal that you have that you can't make room for other goals that come along, or for just like living your life, or just for, you have to be flexible. What I'm thinking of with this is back in July or August or whenever I started that 30 days of boxing challenge video, I had it timed out. I was in town for like 30 days and I was like, this is when I'm gonna get this done. And I was making good progress at first, and then came along the opportunity to be paid to travel to go on this awesome trip. And guys, I initially was like, oh, I'm not gonna do it. I didn't even think about the possibility of going on it. I was set on turning it down because I was like, I have to finish this video, like I have to do this challenge, like whatever, I need to finish this goal. And thank goodness, I don't know when or why, but that changed and I went on the trip, and we all know that boxing video, or that 30 days ended up taking like 3 months. But I feel like it made for a better video and story and a more sustainable experience, so I'm glad that I went. But also, that trip was so fun. I met incredible people that I still talk to often, and none of those good things would have happened if I hadn't made room in this goal that I already had to be able to kind of detour and do a little something else. That's something I always want to kind of keep in mind, is like working hard, putting in the work, staying focused and being disciplined, but like be reasonable when it comes to like living your life, you know? Number 14, in the past year, probably just in the past 6 months, I talked about this in my last video last week, but I sort of discovered my love for health and fitness and working out and eating healthy and things like that. Not all the time, but I generally learned that I like that more than not doing that. I feel like I've also in the past year started paying attention to like what foods make me feel certain ways, like even healthy foods, like there are certain vegetables that I just don't, they make me feel types of ways, you know? And I feel like I've become a lot more of an intuitive eater. It's actually paying attention to the signals that your body gives you, because it does that. You should probably pay attention. Number 15, I think this was on last year's list. I have just chilled out more. I feel like this year, even more than in the past year. I've learned how to respond to things rather than react. An odd example, but this morning in the kitchen, I was taking out my carton of eggs and somehow the lid came off as I was taking it out and one like flipped out and cracked all over the floor. And an old me a few years ago would have gotten so angry, would have had such a reaction to that and like been so annoyed and would have started off my day on the wrong foot. And I don't know why I used to give so much power to like small mishaps that happen, that are guaranteed to happen often. This morning and now frequently, I literally just have no reaction to things like that happening. I'm just like, oh, okay, I'll clean it up. And there's not any kind of like emotional anger reaction that carries into like interpersonal relationships as well. I feel like I've become a much better responder rather than angry reactor. Number 16, something that happened last year in business, if you will, that I learned is that sometimes you have to prioritize professional matters over personal ones. And there's kind of one big example of this that's coming to mind where I had been working with this one brand that I loved. Like I'm so close with the people who work there. Really, I mean, there's nothing bad to say about it. However, a competitor came along that was also great, that I also loved, and was able to present me with a much better offer that company A couldn't provide. Despite my love for those people and my friendship with them that I had built over the years, I ultimately had to decide that like I know the value that I bring to these companies and I ultimately have to stand up for that, and that means going with this better deal and it not being like a personal thing. It's just like business is business, you know what I mean? Number 17, this is a bit contradictory because I'm still caught in a cycle of like such a huge influx of like possessions being brought into my life every time I do a fashion sponsorship or anything like that. But generally, life is better when you have less stuff. I feel like every time I do one of those cleaning videos and just get rid of so many items, I feel so light, like there's so much room everywhere, like everything's so clean and it just feels so good. Even with like my technology, when my hard drive isn't overflowing and my phone's not full of 60,000 photos. Generally just keeping things clean, keeping them cleared out, it just feels better. And I, again, am at a place where I need to clean out so many possessions. Number 18, in the past year, I wouldn't say I'm some like Enneagram fanatic. However, the Enneagram has really helped me to make sense of myself and my decision making and just my relationships and things like that. I'm an Enneagram 8. Feel free to research that. Feel free to take the quiz, research your own. I think it can help you understand a lot of things about yourself. There are 9 types and each one's kind of based on like a core motivation and a core fear. The 8 is vulnerability and like weakness. Number 19, building off that, I have learned and tried to put into practice that imperfection or emotion or struggling with something or growth, none of those things equal weakness. It's normal in life to be figuring things out, to be growing, to be learning. It's an ongoing process. It would be concerning if that weren't happening. And so I have tried to make a better effort of when I feel like I don't have every answer or have everything together or whatever, trying to bring people into that rather than waiting till I've resolved it all and I'm back at this like put together state, whatever. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's challenging the Enneagram 8's vulnerability fear and I hate it. But that's something we're working on. Number 20, don't mistake healing for being distracted. Number 21, in the past year, just with so many opportunities and things that have come my way, I have been continually reminded everything I've been given and everything that comes my way is because of God and not because of my own work. The last thing I believe is that I put in all this hard work and like I earned this like lifestyle of being able to travel and being able to do social media and like whatever, when there are so many people who put in the same amount of work, have the same amount of talent, and don't get to be at a place where they're doing what I'm doing. So A, I don't take that for granted. B, I've just seen and believe that like I am never the most qualified person, never the most connected, but like my name is in rooms with people that I've never met, never heard of, never thought about. And just like all these crazy opportunities this year have just fallen into my lap that were so far beyond anything I could have asked or imagined. Yeah, it's just been cool to see what God can do. So many things bigger than anything we can imagine. And I just gotta give that credit where credit is due because again, I didn't earn any of this. Number 22, I learned that God knows more about your timing than you do, so just chill on out. In the past year, last summer, I went through kind of a business shift that was a little surprising for me. At that point, I was really reacting. Talk about not responding. I was reacting. I had such a freak out reaction. My mind jumped straight to like, somehow I thought that, oh, I was gonna have to move home. I'd never be able to continue doing social media full time, blah, blah, blah. And then I called my friend Katie Austin, and the first thing she said was like, no, this is fine. Like, think of all the ways that was holding you back. Like, this is great, like whatever. And A, thank God I called her because she completely shifted my perspective and like made me chill out. But shortly following this shift, I had multiple like huge deals like fall into my lap, including like long-term ones. And had those happened literally weeks prior, basically a cut would have been taken of everything that I was doing for like that next year. So really what I thought was this big catastrophe like a month before was actually a wonderful, amazing thing that like positioned me to be in a better place to like be making more money and blah, 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 XYZ. Lesson learned from that whole situation was like things that may seem stressful or that may not make sense or whatever can actually be just working out to your good, and you're gonna look back on them and be glad that they happened because it was all perfect timing. So number 23, I have learned and seen that there's community everywhere. There are friends to be found in so many places. I feel like I have built just a bunch of random unexpected friendships in the past year. I mean, I feel like that's just been the story of my life. But like every trip I go on, everywhere I spend my time in LA, like I just somehow meet people and become friends with people everywhere. And just kind of a sub point on that one is I've just seen, not in the past year even, but just the past few years, like people like you for you. And I feel like I've become friends with some people that years ago, like I would have been so intimidated about, and I would have just wanted them to like me. And I don't do that anymore with literally anyone. I am just myself and people like it. I don't know, like you just gotta be yourself. And I just wanna look back to old me and be like, girl, just chill out, you know? Number 24, I feel like in the past year, I have really become a best friend to myself in terms of how I think, how I talk to myself, just built such positive like mental habits, and it's cool to see like that growth, I guess, over time. It's just a great feeling to feel so content with who I am, the type of friend I am, the things I've accomplished. Like I'm just proud of who I am as a person, and it is great to get that validation from yourself and not need it from anybody else. And number 25, lastly, this has kind of been a more recent realization from back, I would say in the fall, when I, for the first time all year, stopped traveling like pretty frequently. I wanna say I spent almost 3 months in LA, which I had never done ever. And doing that and kind of like finally planting like roots here and developing a routine here, I've gotten so happy in LA that I like, for the first time ever, like I have trips coming up and I'm kind of sad to leave. That is never something I felt over the past 2 years. I was always just like excited for the next adventure and whatever, and I still am, but I'm now at a place where I'm so content with my life here that I like don't even feel the need to be going all these other places all the time. Anyways, those are my 25 things I have learned prior to turning 25. Again, leave me something below that you've learned in the past year. Love you guys. Thank you for another year of supporting me on this channel, and I'm excited to see what the next year holds. So that's it. I'll see all of you guys in my next video.